Hello everybody, it's Gabriel Dusil. I am here with my new project. It's going to be a gold wreath. We have, to start off, some beautiful gold-plated tubes. That's kind of the basis. So we're going to be building a beautiful wreath with that over the next couple of days. We have this. Basically, it's a ventilation tube, and it's used as the mask for the wreath. And we're going to make a circle out of that, and that's going to be the basis. And we have to always have a drill. So we have a drill to drill some holes into that thing. We have to cut it in order to remove it later. And we also have to put some tape on this thing so that we hold it together. And then we also have some epoxy, which is going to be the foundation of the wreath. So we have some epoxy here that goes on top of that. We'll show you how all that works. And what else do we have? We have some gold paint. So that's going to be setting our lines so that we could put the tubes in a nice little pattern. We have some glue, so actually some paint here. This is going to be mixed with the epoxy, so the actual base will be gold colored epoxy. So there's that. We have some gold glitter. Not sure if I'm going to be using it, but maybe I'll use it. We'll see. We have a brush for the epoxy. And for the gold tubes, we have a brand new gun for glue, so glue gun for that. And we have a lot of glue sticks, so hopefully that's going to be enough for us to put this thing all together. What else do we got here? I think that's pretty well it. So this is going to be a time-lapse video, and it's going to probably take a couple days, so let's get started. I'm very excited about this next art project, and it's all to the inspiration of my sister, Alisa Dusil, and my mom, Eva Dusil, for their artistry throughout their whole lives. And as an engineer, I try to explore my creative side because of my sister and my mom, so thanks to both of you. Love you. Hello everybody, we're back with the Gold Torus project. That's what I'm calling it for now. Maybe I'll change the name by the time we finish. So this is what we have so far. Day one was a little bit of a disaster because the epoxy was horrible. It all got thrown away. It was too runny. Viscosity was very low. So I did a little bit of research online and found out that there's a measure of viscosity for epoxy. If we look at water, for example, has a viscosity of around 1 millipascal seconds, and honey has 10,000 millipascal seconds, then this stuff was probably around 500, maybe between 100 and 500. So it was really runny. Not so much like water, but quite runny. So, and the other problem was that I left it for about half an hour thinking it's going to harden a little bit, and the whole thing hardened within a few minutes, and it exploded because it got all hot. So I ended up throwing all that epoxy away. It cost me about $50, which kind of sucked. Anyway, but I found a good supplier here, and I got some good honey-based epoxy in 1 liter containers. So I have 2 1-liter containers, and this stuff has a different mixing. It actually has for every 1 liter of mixing, there's 70 milliliters of hardener. Okay, so these two will be mixed together. I'm also going to put it in there, instead of some acrylic, which I had before, some gold acrylic, which may have messed up the mixture, maybe weakened it a little bit. So instead of acrylic, I'm going to use some dye. I have some epoxy resin dye, yellow gold color. So this is about 5 milliliters. Hopefully it's going to be enough. And anyway, if I don't have enough, I have some gold dust to make it a little bit more sexy. So I'll put some gold dust and some dye in there, and then I'll put it on the gold Torus, and that'll provide the base. And what's going to happen is that once it dries, it's going to take about an hour to dry. Then what we do is then we'll cut out this inside. You saw that it's basically a ventilation pipe in there underneath this packing tape. Apparently epoxy doesn't stick to packing tape. I'm hoping it doesn't. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to peel this off on the inside. The bottom of the Torus will be open, so I'll be able to hopefully maneuver. And that's the reason why I drilled holes and cut it a little bit, to make it easier to just deform the whole thing and pull it out from the bottom. And then hopefully we're just left with the epoxy resin. And if that works out nicely, then we'll put the second layer of epoxy on there, on the inside and the outside, to make it nice and strong. And then we will start to glue our gold pipes, and then we have our project finished. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take. This should be fairly fast, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, wish me luck. We're back and we are continuing our gold wreath project. So I've done one layer yesterday with the new epoxy. Everything worked out nicely, although it's still quite a thin layer. So what I'm going to do is, with the second liter of epoxy, I'm going to only do a half a liter at a time. And I bought some new yellow pigment because I ran out of the other yellow. Mix that a little bit with red, because gold is basically a little bit of red with yellow. So then we'll get to this color. So that's going to be mixed beforehand. And then we'll do half a liter, and we see how we go. And then hopefully tomorrow morning I'll do the other half, and it'll be thick enough to then remove the inside. So wish me luck, and hopefully it goes well. Other than that, I think we're set to go. We have done our, I think, third layer of epoxy. Is looking pretty nice. A little bit flat in terms of color, but the next layer is going to be more glossy. I hope. I'm going to actually try some of the final acrylic that we had a few days back and mix this in just to get rid of it. And then we also have the dye. And pigment, and then we also have a little bit of red. I put too much red in last time, so I had to put way too much yellow. So I'm just going to put a sample of that in. I found that when I mixed it before, it looked fine, but then when I put it into the resin, it really darkened. So I have to do the other way around, put it into the resin. And then we also bought some gloves because this epoxy is really hard to get rid of when I'm trying to clean up. So I bought a whole box of these gloves now to protect my hands. And so we should be set. So we do another layer. Hopefully it's the last layer that I have to do. And you can see the bottom, how it's dripping. That's on purpose. So in between these drips, I have to cut that out, remove this ventilation aluminum inside, and hopefully I'm left with some nice epoxy resin as my foundation for the tubes. Okay, so let's get started and wish me luck. We are on day 5 now, and we have pretty well all the layers that we want for the golden Torus. So what we're going to do now is cut out the inside. This is my first attempt to do that, and we're going to try to get it out nice without actually breaking this Torus. And for that we need a Dremel. And of course we need battery for the Dremel, and then we're all set. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully after that's done, then we put in our next layer of epoxy on the inside, and maybe do a final layer on the outside to make it golden. It's a little bit too banana color right now for me. And I'm going to try the acrylic one more time, because that was a nice golden color. So hopefully it works this time with the thicker epoxy resin. And we have the inside removed, so we're okay with this next step. I also did a layer of epoxy inside, and some good news is I found a really nice mixture of what we're looking for in terms of gold, which is a combination of this acrylic and about a spoon and a half of this, and some gold dust as well. So with these combinations we get some good gold color. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put another layer of epoxy on the inside, maybe on if I have any lefts from the ½ liter, then we'll put some on the outside as well, but it's going to be covered anyway by the gold tubes, so that's not much of an issue. It's really about the inside. And we have our 1/3 liter I already started this liter yesterday, so we're going to finish the 3rd liter of epoxy with the hardener, and we should be good to finish that. And then once we're done with the epoxy, then I start with the tubes, hopefully tomorrow. Hello everybody, we're back and we have the whole foundation of the Torus finished. So it's nice and golden. It's about 5-6 layers now, really thick, really strong. So we're all ready to put our golden tubes on. We have 4,300 tubes. So I'm hoping it's going to cover. This is 1 bag of 2.5 bags. So we have 2.5 kilos of this stuff. So we'll give it a try and hopefully we'll cover the whole surface. I'm going to do 1 layer first, count them, and then see how many layers I need to do, and then we should get an idea whether I have enough for the whole Torus. If not, I'm going to have to buy some more from China. But I think I'm quite happy with it. Color looks great. It's nice and strong. And looking forward to covering it all with the golden tubes. Yesterday didn't go so well. We started with the tubes, but it didn't look very nice. We made a little pattern there in order to go along the cross section, and it didn't work out. So now I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to go along the edge and then around this way into the middle. I think it's look nicer. So we have to start all over again, but essentially this is an experiment in terms of what this is going to look like. So yesterday the experiment part didn't go so well, so we're going to learn from that, and hopefully we'll get this one looking nice this time around. So I need to do some sanding. So I got some sandpaper just to make it a little rough so that the glue will stick on the surface, and then we'll make some guidelines, and then we'll start to glue again. Okay, let's try this again. are halfway through. We just have to do the inside part. So everything's going well, and I'm not very happy with the bottom, so I'm gonna probably epoxy the bottom a little bit better so it looks nice. And then we should be done. So I think another 4 hours, and then we should be finished with the gluing of the tubes, and then we should be done with the epoxy in the back, and then the project is finished. So let's continue. I'm not happy with some of the tubes that I put in, so we need to fix some of the tubes in the bottom, and then we also need to finish the bottom part as well. So I need to give that a try, see if I can cut out some of those drips from the epoxy, and then hopefully finish it off tonight, and that should be done. So that's where we are, day 10, hopefully the final day. And we have our final row almost done. I still need to fix up some of the inside in order to finish some of the tubes to fit in there. And then on the inside, I'm going to put an epoxy layer. So I shaved off the dripping epoxy. So this will just be covered on the inside with a thin layer of epoxy to cover up basically the glue, and then we'll do a little bit of cleanup, remove some of the glue so we can't see it from the outside, and then hopefully we're done, hopefully today. I thought it was going to be done yesterday, didn't quite happen, so today hopefully will be the final day. We have the back done, we have the front done, and we just need to fix a few things. But the main part that I need to work on is the mount. So we have some rings. We have 3 rings. They're going to go, what is that, 120 degrees apart on the back, and they're going to be hooked like this into the ring that goes into this, hooked, and then we mount it to the wall. So it'll be actually spaced from the wall about that much, and that is really how it's going to be mounted. So we need to epoxy these rings inside, so I need to do that, and then cut this up, and then also spray paint this with gold, so it's all nice and gold, and then we're done. So hopefully really this is the last day, and then we can mount this thing.